Hey Facebook, good afternoon. We're here and home. Teachers are off for the summer. I have plenty to do. So when I sit here and do my recordings for my school assignments, I figure I'd take a moment and speak with you as well. I did a video recently and shared some very intimate things that challenged my soul, my life, and I braced myself for the harsh backlash that would come, but that is not what came my way. And I tagged it from one mama to another because I'm not a man. I cannot speak to the suffrage of a man. I can speak to what I learned through research. I can speak to my lived experience and what I've observed and witnessed throughout my life, but I can go no further with that. Okay, but as a mama, I have my own. There had been some questions about my son, and let me clarify a few things about his case. They began their relationship while she was 13, he was 15. It went on for just over a 2-year period. One thing, and really it was my stepson. My stepson, prior to this, so 5 children, I told you 4, but I had a stepson. He had gotten into some trouble as well prior years earlier. And one thing we did during that time is we sat down with all the kids and we had this conversation, this honest conversation about the legal system. And this is one system you don't want to lie to. If you were right or wrong in your actions, you tell the truth. The truth is going to be the best defense. And this was something that we pressed into kids as they were growing. And so, although this relationship began early, the only thing these 2 children, my son, that young lady, did wrong was go against what their parents asked. I didn't want my son messing with that girl. And that girl's parents was having a difficult time dealing with her. Okay, I didn't know all the details. I just knew while being in the same church home that they were having a difficult time. At this time, we had been a member of this church for about 14 years. So this family had come in, I don't know how many years, but it had not been as long as us. So this was our family. And this situation, it tore us apart, all of us, okay? But I did not like that my son was under investigation and had been talking to the police for so long without me knowing. But I had been the kind of mom that my son said years earlier, he told his pastor, he told his youth group, if he had ever gotten into trouble, do not call his mama. He'd rather sit in jail, he thought at that time, and ride it out than you call his mama, because he was more fearful of what I would do to him than what jail could do to him. That was his thought. That's what he shared. So when I got the call on Super Bowl Sunday, my son had 72 business working days to get his affairs in order. I had to move swift to secure him legal counsel. We actually hit 2 attorneys. We hit one who was a referral to us I began to notice some shakiness about him. I did not take the time to research and look into this attorney. I just, in the urgency of things, took him. And my son did some things that just escalated matters. And when we called on this attorney, he's reassuring, I'm on it right now. As soon as I hang up with you, I got it. We're going to take care of it, blah, blah, blah. And then, no, he was not. He was not doing what he said he would do. And so we immediately sought other counsel. Again, this was two teenagers defying what the parents asked of them. I have always felt that this was something that could have been taken care of internally. The family never reached out to me, never spoke to me about their concerns. And I don't know that they knew I didn't want my boy messing with that girl anyways. And when I went to the church and asked for them to keep the kids apart, I was asking for help. That while my son is not with me, he's with you. Please. I was watching this girl follow my child. I was watching her behaviors. I didn't like it. Smell like trouble, look like trouble. And here we are, in trouble. My son has also been in a number of terrible accidents. And so, although this Metcalf kid, Austin Metcalf, no longer lives, neither does Karmelo Anthony. Something inside of him dies. I lost my son. I lost my son. He is walking, he is living, he is breathing. But the boy I knew before those charges, the boy I knew and the path he was heading in, I don't have that boy anymore. He is tormented. Night terrors. He finds other ways to cope and deal. He is struggling still today, no matter the years between it. Trauma does that to you. Karmelo is living. He is breathing. He is above the ground. But he is dead inside. He is suffering. And the quieter it is around him, the more he suffers and deals with this. When I experienced my triple rollover accident, and really it was a year of physical trauma to my own body, even then, by the end of that year, I wasn't suicidal. I just felt it was best to put me in the ground than to suffer on this earth the way I was that year and continue. That trauma still lives with me when I get behind the wheel of a car, when I'm moving on the road, when people around me are too close, or trauma is with you long after. And as a mama, you struggle because we can't figure out how to help you. I don't know how to help my child. And I can give him all the advice that everyone else would give to say, go to counseling, do this, do that. Sometimes it's not that easy. It's not that simple. I I shared with you my husband's legal situation. I've shared with you my son's legal situation. I've shared with you my daughter's behavior that led to the destruction of things. And here's the clarification to someone's question. And I'll even give you a current day example of what I'm trying to say. When the system, anyone in this system, have their mind made up that you don't know, when they look at you and believe what you can't, when they think it's in the bag, they got it, you become a target until they find out they got the wrong one. When my husband faced that 25-year felony count, in the eyes of those on the other side charging him over a piece of paper, they see a black man. Now, I had been naive. My daddy would tell you, well, baby, you've been sheltered. Because I couldn't understand what I was seeing my husband experience, what I'm seeing my little black boy experience. I worked my entire life to ensure my children don't grow up in poverty, to experience it the way I did as a young girl. I spent my entire life ensuring that we don't live with roaches and mice. I don't want that for my kids. I never thought about anything else because it was not my lived experience. I largely grew up sheltered in my teen and adult life in the white community. And despite what anyone would think or believe, I would tell you that that community is largely contribute to my success over the years. My academia, my scholarship, the knowledge, it came from there. That was my environment. That was my community. What they also equipped me with is the skills and the knowledge and the wisdom and the power that comes in that to recognize some things and how to respond to them. Situational awareness. That's lacking among a lot of our people. Situational awareness. Something else is knowing your history. You have a book. You need to read it. I had a classmate. I'm trying to reach out to her. I'm trying to connect with her. It was the first time in my adult life that someone stops me and say, have you never heard that if you want to hide something from a Negro, you put it in a book? We were on the college campus. I was so caught up on her saying the N-word, because we don't say that. You shouldn't say that. That's a bad... I couldn't even receive what she was telling me at the time. It will be years later that I understood what she was trying to tell me. My husband will tell you today, my ex-husband, that he walked away from that situation because they didn't know what kind of wife he had. My son would tell you he walked away from that situation because his mama told him never to lie to the police. And right there in Copper's Cove, Detective Snow whom everyone tried to tell me Copperas Cove Police Department is going to do my baby wrong. No, they didn't. Detective Snow had always believed my baby was telling the truth. He put it in his notes. Now, I'm not happy to learn that they had been talking to my baby for months without me knowing it, but in August, Noah turned to 18. I can't sign nothing on his behalf anyways. I was just able to give the money and advice. That was my role. And I had lovely women who surrounded me in that church that prayed fervently for my boy. That's the worldview of the history. No one group of people can be successful without a worldview, a full understanding of your history. And pitting each other against one another is just insane. It's insane. I spent the weekend with my boy. He was very proud of his mama, and I really enjoyed. I hadn't done that in a long time. Here's what I got for you. I showed that I read this. I was working on this book. I got it at that Pan-African conference, and in this book, Dr. John Henry Clark wrote. Here's a quote from him. It is essential that we look back in order to look forward with more understanding. In college, I understood that the Quaker Society, a community of white people, that was the Underground Railroad. That was the folks who opened up their homes, who put holes in the baseboards, in the walls, to hide and conceal, keep you safe, put clothes on you, feed you, till they get you to the next station. Their abolition husbands, what many of you don't know, but if you read a book, you would learn that Prince Hall, founder of the Black Masons, worked alongside the abolitionists. There was a railroad before the railroad. Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, all these people could not do what they did without building partnerships across the aisle. That's important, and it becomes necessary. Not all blacks and not all whites and not all browns are these horrible people. They genuinely love and come together as a community and want to support and see you be successful. My child lives. Inside, he died a long time ago. Karmelo lives. Inside, he died that night. And he will be tormented as he sits there. People often ask if racism is over. Why do so many disparities remain? Well, there's a recent case for that. The answer could be found in a North Carolina courtroom. For generations, many Americans were taught that racism is primarily about individual prejudice, a hateful person making a hateful choice. But the North Carolina Racial Justice Act case reveals something much deeper. They showed what systematic racism looks like when it is measured, documented, and placed under oath. In the case of Hasson Bacote, I might be saying that wrong, Hassonbacote, researchers examined hundreds of thousands of court documents and discovered a pattern that could not be explained away as coincidence. Qualified Black citizens were removed from juries at significantly higher rates than white citizens. In some counties, Black jurors were struck 3 times as often. The results was often overwhelmingly white jurors deciding whether Black defendants would live or die. That is not merely individual bias. That is a system producing predictable outcomes. The evidence also reveals something else. Prosecutors, acting as representation of the state, used language that compared Black defendants to animals and predators. Such language was not hidden in private conversations. It appeared in courtrooms where life and death decisions were being made. Most telling of all was the response when this evidence surfaced. Rather than immediately fixing the problem, lawmakers repealed the very law that allowed the discrimination to be exposed. It took years of litigation before the courts reopened the door and allowed the evidence to be heard. I think about 5 years between 2020 and 2025. This is why some scholars and activists say racism remains in the fabric of Americans' DNA. Not because every individual is racist, but because institutions built during eras of racial exclusion can continue producing unequal outcomes long after the original architects are gone. The North Carolina case reminds us that history is never truly past. If we want justice, we must be willing to examine not only individual actions, but the system that shaped them. Because a society cannot heal what it refuses to see. You can't remain blind. This ain't no what you heard. Pull the case up yourself. Read it. Understand how you can use it. How it informs your life, your actions, your move. You remain a target, an easy one, as long as you remain uninformed. When I had my rollover accident, I was a USAA banker. I banked with them. The person who hit me had their auto insurance through USAA. USAA fought my legal team and my insurance for every nickel and dime to not have to pay out. They were doing their job. That's a business. We got as much as we can get, and I thank God for the medical care that was covered in there. I received great medical care, okay? But I ain't walk away with millions as they promise when you have these accidents. But I can tell you, USA was bulldog. My daughter owns an Audi. Her husband and her have an Audi. My daughter was hit from behind so hard she was pushed into the car in front of her. The damage, cosmetically, it's not significant, but these cars have sensors on them, computer things that go haywire, things that just enhance the features on the car and make them safer, but they're still drivable, they're functioning. So she was able to drive away from this accident. But things have been hell for her ever since. See, what they didn't know is that she was married to a soldier. What they didn't know is who her mama was, who her grandpa was. What they thought is they had a young, single mom whom they said is not going to be able to afford to fix the car. Again, the damage wasn't significant. They told her the damage has totaled the vehicle. So they'll cut her a check for $11,000. She owes $17,000 on the vehicle. They're going to keep the car. No, you're not. See, my daughter was in a panic. She didn't know what to do. No, you're not. Over time, we learn. USAA is going to fix that car and sell it to the bank. The actual damage, after talking with the repair shop who took the car apart and wouldn't put it back until the insurance gave them authorization to put the car back together, because somebody's got to pay to put the car back together. The total damage was actually $9,000. USAA didn't want to pay for that. They want to take her car. So I had to tell my daughter, when they think you do not know your rights, when they think you cannot fight back, when they think you're so desperate for any check, because see, they were going to take the car and give her a couple of $1,000s. When they think you'll be satisfied with that because you can't do anything more, that's what happens. Then they sell the car. They fix it and they sell it for more. So I had to talk to my daughter. I had my daughter talk to her father, to her grandfather. And she went down there and she took her car back. That shop put that car back together. The auto insurance had to pay to put that car back together and give my baby her car. You don't have to try and steal. From the unknowing. My baby has a car. And yes, it still has that damage. It's going to need to be fixed. How do you know when someone's trying to take something from you and leave you to believe that is something that is not? You can't know these things if you don't open up a book. Open up a journal. Open up an article. Read about the lived experiences that's supported by research and data and court cases. Read. Become informed so you know how to stand up against bullies. And there are those of you who will eat your own. The Black community tears down within. And the white community tear down within. Then you cat fight across the aisle with each other. You can't be so desperate to gain a few pennies to lose so much more. That's insane. Stop listening to everything that's being told to you. I'm going to tell you, go look up this North Carolina case. Don't just believe what I'm telling you. Go look it up. I would like to think that I'm sharing not just my lived experience, but I'm sharing it supported by data, by facts, by things have been shared in books and writings. It's here. These men in my life didn't just walk away from these charges. They don't have to live with them. USAA didn't steal my baby's car. She has it. But when they believe you don't know, they'll rob you right in front of your face. Know your rights. Really know them. Look stuff up. Be informed. A people who do not know their history is a truly lost people. I have great folks around me. The women in the shadows of my life, I can't give them enough that measures the gratitude I have for them. White, Black, Hispanic. These women have reached down and pulled me through the ranks. My success is because they allowed me to step on their shoulders. All of it comes through knowledge and books. You're a learned people. One more true story before I hang up on this. I've got schoolwork I need to do. When my first child was born, and she was old enough, I felt old enough to start whooping and disciplining her. I'd hit her with anything I can grab hold of. Fly swatter, flip-flops, throw something at her. Why was I doing that? Because that was a learned behavior. Because many of you know we grew up in a home where they whooped you with anything they can grab. Every now and then you were told to go get a switch off the tree. Don't break it. Don't splinter it. Or you're going to go back out there and get another one if it broke on your ass. I had a white woman teach me that ain't how we discipline. Because it left bruises, it left marks and scars, it welted their skin. She didn't say stop whooping them, but she taught me to use a wooden spoon. And as I think about it, I grew up in the North Carolina school system early on, elementary school, and had a fair number of paddles. Had my butt paddled in that school with a wooden paddle. But that's not how we were whipped at home. I stopped disciplining my child in that way, all of them, with anything I can grab a hold of. Because that woman didn't just tell me not to do this. She explained why and what the final results were going to look like. So when I hit my child with this wooden spoon, they weren't left with this ugly bruising on their bodies that says I beat the crap out of you. We can learn from everyone something good, just as we can learn horrible things. And it takes a hell of a lot more energy for y'all to live to be so angry and mad and screaming. And I'm really shocked by all the video that's going across online with this mess, and you can't see how embarrassing some of this is. We are human, and we struggle in our home. And when I told you those mamas are toe up, they are, and they will be for a long time. I still am behind my baby. I still am, because I see him suffering. And I can't do much about it. There's not much I can do but be available when he seeks his mama. You can't change things in your home, your family, your life if you are uninformed. Things don't get better if you remain uninformed. All right.